Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on June the 5th, 2020. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, as usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. And in terms of what we have coming up on Friday, a lot of data in the New York session here. The biggest thing will be the non-farm payroll change. Now, we are expecting about 8 million job losses. However, we have seen the ADP non-farm payroll number that came out was better than expected. And as a result of that positive number, we did see the stock market go up. So if we get something similar as well, expect the same type of results. So in this case, if the number comes in better than expected, we're likely to see the stock market go up, and a US dollar is likely to drop under those circumstances. We're also going to get the Canadian dollar numbers. Now, for the Canadian dollar, if the numbers are much below expectation, then that will be negative for Canadian dollar. However, if they are in line with expectations or they are a little bit better than expectations, that will be positive for Canadian dollar. So we'll keep an eye on that. Other than that, not a whole lot going on here. We do need to keep an eye on the stock market right now because Nasdaq is at all-time highs again. So it is back into the levels where it was prior to the COVID news happened. So in this case, the economy hasn't changed a whole lot, but the optimism plus the money that the central banks and the government is spending has really pushed the markets up. So in this case, we could get a bit of a dip. So watch out for that. Right now, we're still in the risk-on mode, but if that risk-on mode changes, we could see change, basically a reversal in everything. So that's something we need to keep an eye on. We are also going into Fridays. Sometimes Fridays tend to be reversal days. So again, watch out for that. So let's go on to the charts here. We'll start off by taking a look at our euro dollar, a big bullish move up in euro dollar as we were expecting here. Bias is still to the upside here. So in this case, I will look for a pullback. We could get a pullback into 1.1320 or even 1.1300. And then we may see a further move to the upside here. So bias is bullish. And as long as the stock market is heading higher, we're likely to see euro dollar go up as well. So basically dollar crosses are likely to go up as the stock market keeps on heading higher. So in this case, our targets are, the first target is 1.1400 and the next target is 1.1450. So bias is bullish for euro dollar. Pound dollar here, this one is neutral at this point. We did see a drop in pound, but with the US dollar weakness, this one went back up. And today's candle here is completely neutral. We have pins on both sides. So neutral candle here, but there's still bullishness in here. It hasn't quite turned negative yet. So in this case, we have to see how it reacts to the high. So if price retests 1.2650. If it stays below, then I'm looking for a drop here. But once it crosses this level, we are likely to see price move higher. And in this case, the next target would be 1.2700. So right now, bias is neutral. But if it crosses the high here, this resistance level, this is a solid resistance level. So if it crosses through that, we're likely to see a further move to the upside, and 1.2700 and then 1.2750 will be the next two targets to the upside. Now, if it holds below, then I will look for price to come back into 1.2480, which is back into the support level here again. So bias here is neutral for our pound dollar. Aussie dollar here. Aussie is almost into the highs that are pre-COVID highs. And as we can see here, for the last 2 days, price hasn't really done much. We have had two neutral candle closes here. So we may see turn around here, so watch out for that. But again, if there is positive risk sentiment in the equities markets, so this one could still go higher. So this is not a guarantee that it's going to turn, but when we see that market is not going higher, it starts to flatten out. That is a sign that we may be coming up for a reversal. So watch out for that. Bias here is neutral. We could get another move into the highs, and if that fails, I am looking for price to drop then. But until then, we could see this one move higher, and of course, if it breaks the high, it can go into 0.7035. For now, neutral. If it holds below the highs of today, I'm looking for price to come back into 0.6880. And then below that, we have 0.6850. So neutral bias for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar here, this one is still looking bullish here. We have seen last 4 days have been extremely bullish here. Now we are into resistance, so we do need to be careful, but bias still is bullish. Next target here is 0.6520. And then above that, we're looking at 0.6560. So bias is bullish. Now, if it does not break the high, again, I would look for price to turn around and come back into the lows of today. For now, though, bias is bullish, but with caution here. Dollar CAD is flattening out here. And as we can see, we have a neutral candle close. It is into major support. So this one could turn around. I will look for potentially a retest of the low, or as long as it holds above here, above 1.3470, we are likely to see a move higher here. So bias is neutral. Next target here is 1.3580. Again, the thing is, though, if the equity markets continue moving higher, which means we are back into the risk on mode, this one can drop as well. And if the numbers are positive from in terms of the employment numbers, then this one could drop as well. So it's not a done deal in terms of reversal yet, but it hasn't really made much progress in the last 3 days. And that could mean that we may see price turnaround. So watch out for that. We are into important support. So right now, neutral bias for dollar CAD. And silver here. Silver is neutral for the day, completely neutral candle close here. So in this case, we could see another leg lower. We'll have to keep an eye. So in this case, we may see something like this. So as long as it holds below today's high, I would look for price to drop. So bias here is neutral. Watch out for the high. If it stays below 17.80, I will look for a move back into 17.40. And if it breaks through that, 17.20. So bias is neutral for silver here. Gold has gone up. We do have a bullish candle close, but it is into resistance. So at this point, I'm more neutral on this. And as we have seen previously, price dropped, pulled back, dropped. And if it holds below 1720 area, then I will look for a drop. In that case, the first target is 1690. And then below that, we're looking at 1680. But for now, it is neutral. I'm not completely bullish or completely bearish at this point. We just have to wait and see. But if for some reason it goes through the resistance, next target here would be 1732. So neutral bias here for gold. Oil here. Oil has a very small inside candle here. It hasn't been able to break the high. This one could drop. And if oil drops, Canadian dollar is likely to drop as well. So if you're trading the Canadian dollar, keep an eye on the oil here. So in this case, we could see price go in either direction. I am neutral on this. We may see price go high and then drop. So this is where we need to see where this may go. So this may become range bound here. So neutral bias, but if it breaks through the high, then next target would be back into the top of this candle, which is 41.50. So for now, bias is neutral. Copper here, copper has been going up. Today's candle close is neutral. Yesterday, we did see a drop, but then price pulled back and it has closed neutral. So in this case, I would look for a retest of the high. And if it doesn't, then we're likely to see a drop. And this one may become range bound here as well. So neutral bias for now for copper. Bitcoin here. Bitcoin is looking bullish here. We do have a bullish candle close, but it is coming into this resistance. So we just need to be careful here. Bias is bullish to neutral. Next target will be 10,000. But if it doesn't break today's high, we could see a drop here. So things are into important support resistance levels at this point. So we just have to be careful of these levels. But bias is bullish to neutral for Bitcoin. S&P 500, this has been interesting. We have seen price go in both directions today. It is into the high, and as we can see, price has been trying to break it. So right now it is neutral, but if it goes through the high, we are likely to see another push higher here into 3180. So neutral bias here for S&P 500. It is still holding on to that bullishness. We are still into the risk on mode, and if the risk on mode continues, that would mean we could see it go back into 30 or go up into 3180. But for 2 days in a row here, it hasn't broken the resistance. And if it fails to break resistance again, we could see a drop. And sometimes Fridays tend to be reversal days as well. So keep that in mind. So neutral bias for S&P 500. Nasdaq here, Nasdaq actually has hit the high here. This is the all-time highs, and as we can see, market is into all-time highs, into pre-COVID highs, but our economy is not where you would think the market is suggesting it is. However, the markets are basically based on optimism, and there's a lot of optimism in the market right now because of all the different economies opening up, and we are in risk on mode still. So with this one, it is neutral. Watch out for stops being run. So there's got to be a lot of stops on the other side of this resistance, because this is a major resistance. And as such, stops could be run, which means we are likely to spike through that resistance before it turns around. So I would just suggest caution. I'm not bullish on this at this point. The only thing I would think is if it's going to go higher, that is going to be because of stops being run, not because inherently this is strong. But this has been going up for a long time, and markets can stay irrational for long periods of time. So just be careful. Neutral bias here for Nasdaq. If it breaks through today's low, next target is 9,500, and then below that 94.35. So neutral bias here for Nasdaq as well. Dow Jones here, this one as well, still holding on to that bullishness. Very, very small candle close today. It did make a slightly higher high. But again, this is neutral at this point, does not have a lot of, at least the daily candle is not looking too strong. So we could see a turnaround here. But people have been pushing it higher. And if that continues, we are likely to see this go through. And in that case, next target will be 26,750 and then 27,000 as the next target here. But if it doesn't break today's high, then I will look for a move back towards 25,700. So for now, bias is neutral for Dow Jones. DAX here, DAX is looking neutral as well. We are into some strong resistance here. Price has not been able to break the highs. So we could see a turn. But like I have said, market has been extremely in a risk on mode. So it could just keep on, it could keep on going. So just watch out. But for now, next target here would be 12,120. So bias is neutral for DAX as well. FTSE here, same thing. We are into strong support resistance level. Today's candle close is completely neutral here. So once it breaks through the support, next target here will be 62.50. And then below that, we're looking at 61.80. So bias here is neutral for FTSE. Nikkei here. Nikkei actually had a bit of a down day, but it has whipped around in both directions. At this point, I am neutral. For it to basically come down, we do need to see a drop below the support. And if it doesn't happen, then I will look for a move back towards the high of 23,000 or 22,980. So for now, I'm neutral, not turning bearish just yet. So we'll see. At this point, if it breaks the support here, next target will be 22,250 and then 22,000 after that. So neutral bias here for Nikkei. All right, so that's it for today. You guys have a wonderful weekend. I will be back again on Sunday for our weekly analysis. And for anybody in the trade group here, I'll be back tomorrow. Bye for now.